Hello and welcome back to Studio Session. I'm Katherine and thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. Getting started with today's report. For reading, I'm still reading 1984 and I'm really enjoying it. I'm only a couple more chapters in than I was in the last podcast, but I'm really liking it. I don't know, I just think the whole kind of like dystopia kind of vibe, it's just really cool. I like it. For eating, my sister recently has been on like a hash brown kick and keeps asking my mom to make hash browns, and I tried some the other day and I just forgot how good they are. Like, I don't know, I feel like they go with everything. So definitely loving hash browns. For playing, this isn't really a playing currently. I just thought I wanted to talk about this. Gracie Abrams just released her new album. I'm blanking on the name, but I'm so excited. I don't know. I can't wait. I think she was really due for a new album. I love all of her work, so super excited for this. For obsessing, I have been loving all of the flowers and trees blooming. It just reminds me of spring. Weather's been getting warmer. Not really today. It's kind of gross out today, but yesterday it was super nice out. So just seeing all the flowers makes me really happy. For recommending, AP exams are coming up. If you're enrolled in any AP classes, I definitely recommend keep on studying. I know next week I have two, and then another one the week after. I definitely have not studied as much as I should, so definitely start studying or wrap it up. Wherever you are in your studying, just keep going. And finally, for treating, I've just been treating myself to like binge watching shows on Netflix. Currently, I'm watching like old seasons of Big Brother. They're my favorite. I love like bad reality TV. It's the best. That's it for today's report, and let's jump into our main segment. I'm joined with Lucas for our main segment, and today's album is Because the Internet by Childish Gambino. This was another one of Lucas's picks. This is a hip-hop/rap album that was released in 2013. My favorite on the album was 3005. I just thought this was definitely the most memorable track on the album for me. It kind of had my optimal mix of like rap and singing. I'm not always the biggest rap fan. I definitely don't stray away from it though. Rap was like one of my highest like music genres in my Apple Music Wrapped, and I was really surprised. So I definitely like some rap, but I like that there was also a good amount of singing in this song too. There was a great tune. It was just definitely a highlight on the album. So 3005 was my favorite.
Okay, my top pick was Pink Toes with Sorry in Advance. I think it's pronounced Genie Aiko. I'm not sure. I just thought it was wonderfully put together. It sounds really good. This song has gone triple platinum in my AirPods in the past couple weeks after I rediscovered this album. The musical elements really just flow, and obviously our guest star gives wonderful contributions to the song, and I think it really benefits the whole album.
Even though I didn't select that song for any of my categories today, I definitely still really like it. It's kind of trending on TikTok right now because where he says like, as long as I look fly by prom night, people are doing their prom transitions to that sound. So when I heard that in the song, I was like, oh, I do know this song, but definitely a great one. But my second favorite was World Star. This song just immediately stuck out to me. I liked the lyrics, how they were kind of creative. There's just like a smooth rap beat. I was just kind of pleasantly surprised by it. It was one of the earlier ones on the album, and it just stuck out to me as one I really liked. So World Star was my second favorite.
For my second most favorite, I had to go with Telegraph Ave / Oakland. This is basically a story inside of a song. It's just I really appreciate the element of. It's almost like if I were to describe this in music terms, it's like a Russian nesting doll of music, and I just think that's really good. And I have a little thing on the story that I'll get into later, because this album is practically a story, and this is definitely a very beneficial song to it. Also want to shout out the music video. It's really weird. He turns into an alien at the end.
Definitely interesting comparing it to a Russian nesting doll. My least favorite on this album. So okay, this album had a lot of like, what I guess you would consider in like interludes. I don't really know what you consider an interlude and what you don't. But excluding those, I said my least favorite was The Party, if you don't consider that an interlude. It was just a super short track, and it was just really chaotic. Like, that's kind of all I had to say about it. It was short and it was chaotic, and I just didn't really enjoy it.
So yeah, getting into that, I guess I'll deliver my little speech here. I do. So the thing with the interludes, I believe, I don't want to like rant too much about it because I was very invested in this album at a time, but it is kind of like a play almost. They have like, if you go on Apple Music or Spotify or whatever you stream on, and you look at the titles of these songs, they'll have like a 1, 2, 3, 4 in front of them, because it's basically different acts, and the story revolves around the main character, the protagonist. His name is the boy, and we know this because there is like a script that Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, gave with this. There is like a motion picture as well. So his name is the boy. He's known to be an upper class child, and he's enjoying the riches of his parents, but he's spiraling at the same time. In 3005, he states, "Y'all only come around when you want to play pool or my hot tub," basically talking about how he has no real friends. They all just want him for his money. And in the party, he recognizes that trying to make friends is pointless because, one, he's basically an internet troll and he doesn't have that social skill, and two, the people that he can't be social with don't want him at all. They just want his money. The album's very interesting. I suggest looking up this screenplay, and if you can find, I've watched the motion picture on like the Internet Archive. Just very interesting. That being said, my least favorite is World Star. I just don't like this song at all. Some of the, like, I get the point and I get how it's significant to the album based on the fact that he's trying to gain internet clout off of World Star, which is like an online, you upload fight videos to it and stuff like that. I just didn't like this one that much compared to some of the other ones on the album.
My underrated pick for this album, I chose Crawl, which was the first track minus the little intro. Maybe just because it was really early on, but this was another like pleasant surprise to me. I don't know, I just like this one a lot. I thought that the mixed kind of voices, he didn't actually like give a feature shout out in the title, but there was like a female voice at the beginning that I just thought sounded really good with his voice. I just thought it was a cool track overall that I really enjoyed. Yeah, really pleasantly surprised by this one.
Yeah, shout out to the openers on this album. I know the library was 6 seconds long or something like that, but I just liked it. And same thing with Dial Up. I've tried sampling Dial Up like 30 times in music production, but I can't get it right. Hopefully I do. My underrated pick is Earth, the Oldest Computer, in parentheses, The Last Night. I just thought this was his best lyrical performance on the album. It's definitely, like all the other songs, very well put together and just has this element of like a rush, like an action scene almost. And I really appreciate that. It does go very well with the screenplay. At this point, the cops are raiding his house. I definitely found this to be interesting.
For my overall album rating, I gave this one a 7 out of 10. Like I mentioned earlier, this isn't like my typical style. I'm usually more of like a pop alternative kind of girl instead of like hip hop rap. But it's definitely also not something I completely stray away from. I thought that it was really cool how this album was kind of broken up, like Lucas said, into like different acts, different sections. Some of them were broken up like with an interlude, some weren't. I just thought it was a really unique concept to do that. I thought the album was cohesive. It had some really cool tracks. I enjoyed a lot of them. I thought the lyrics were pretty strong. And I know some like popular Childish Gambino songs, like not on this album. So I thought it was cool to like listen to a full album by him because that's just something I had never done before. So I like this one a lot.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate this album, and I feel like one of the things that I don't like about Apple Music is that it just, I don't know what the word is, but it just, for lack of a better term, pushes these artists into categories like hip-hop or rap, when really it's so much more. I feel like saying that this is just a hip-hop album by Apple Music kind of negates the artistry of it, and it's just these really creative guys like Childish Gambino, Tyler, the Creator is another one that comes to mind. I wish there was better description on this. But at the end of the day, it is highly hip-hop, and I appreciate it. I gave it an 8 out of 10. It's not as good as I remember. I remember it being a lot better, but it's still just a really good album, really well put together. And yeah, I suggest looking up some stuff about this album. The story is extremely interesting.
That was it for this album review. Technically our last full album review of the podcast, but we'll get into that a little more later. But let's jump into our next segment. For our next segment today, we are back with another Playlist Essentials, and today's topic is songs that follow our initials. Because for Playlist Essentials, we usually pick 3 songs. I was just trying to think of like categories that came in threes, and I was like, oh, duh, initials. But then I realized that my initials are KLK, so I had to find 2 songs that start with the K, so that was a little difficult. But for my first K, my first name is Katherine, obviously. I chose "King of My Heart" by Taylor Swift. I feel like it was impossible for me to not pick this song. Definitely one of my favorites on her Reputation album. Reputation is kind of like, it's not one of my favorite albums by her, but definitely not one of my least favorites. It falls in like the middle of my rankings. But this song is just such a standout. I don't know. I just love it. I love the lyrics. I love the tune. And I just feel like I had to mention Taylor Swift's song on here. So "King of My Heart" by Taylor Swift, one of my favorites, and that is my pick for my first K.
Okay, so forgive me if this is, if you're listening to this and you recognize this off TikTok. I don't have TikTok, so if this is one of those trendy songs, don't act like I'm just putting this here because I saw it on TikTok, because I do not have it. I picked "Prom Night" by Chance the Rapper. I've definitely mentioned this song at times in the past, and I just think it's a really good song, really nice and upbeat. I like the lyricism, I like the story kind of behind it, and I recommend you go listen to it.
For my next one, this just kind of happened to follow my initials. My initials are KLK, like I said. So for my next one, L, my middle initial is L. I chose "Let It Happen" by Tame Impala. I feel like we all saw this coming. You guys know that we both love Tame Impala, and I really just could not think of a better L song for L. I don't know, "Let It Happen" immediately came to my mind. The music and the production on this song is unmatched. I love this song. I feel like it hits at any time of the day. I love driving to this song. It sounds great in headphones or AirPods. I don't know, this song is just so incredible and definitely one of my favorites by Tame Impala. So "Let It Happen" was my pick for L.
So KLK is a palindrome, I think is the word. So I don't know if it's going front or back. Mine is going backwards. I have my J next as my middle name. And I picked "January 28th" by J. Cole. I really like the more soulful, introspective kind of conscious tracks that J. Cole has. I really don't like the stuff where he's talking about how, he's the best rapper alive and he's the toughest man on earth. I don't like that side of Cole, and we just saw it fold when he apologized to Kendrick. We know he's not really like that. Excuse my pun. But this song is one of those more conscious songs, as is the album it's on. And I really appreciate it. I think, like I said with "Prom Night," the lyrics are really good. And just this, January 20th is the second track on 2014 Forest Hills Drive. And it really paves the way for a great album.
And finally, my last song for another K. I struggled to find another song that started with K. When I thought of 2 songs starting with K, "King of My Heart" immediately stuck out to me, so I knew I had to pick that one. But then I dug through my playlists to find another song that started with a K that I thought was worthy of a shout out. There were a couple of just mediocre ones, but ultimately I landed on "Killer Queen" by Queen. I just love this song so much. I'm a big Queen fan, and this kind of era of their music with Killer Queen is one of my favorites. This song is just so great. I love the instruments on this one. I'm usually not big to pick up on the instrumentals of a song, but I think it's the electric guitar or something, and this one goes crazy. I love it so much. Obviously love the lyrics, love the beat too. I just thought that the musical elements were also really strong on this one. So definitely one of my favorites. Loving that kind of rock era by them. So "Killer Queen" by Queen was my last pick for my initials.
For my last pick, I was going to go with "Let It Happen," but I ultimately settled on another Tame Impala song, that being "List of People to Try and Forget About." This is on your Currents B-side and remixes little compilation album. And definitely, this should have made the cut on the album. I don't know how this is a B-side, because I personally think that this might be their best song. Just really incredible, definitely well made, and it is my number 1 pick.
That was definitely a fun Playlist Essentials. Sad that it is our last one, but definitely a strong one to end on. Let's jump into our final segment of the day. As always, we are ending this podcast with what to expect next, and this is kind of bittersweet because this is kind of our last what to expect next, because our next podcast episode is unfortunately going to be our last of the year. and ever really. We're going to different colleges, so it's not really possible for us to continue this podcast. But we just wanted to end it now because May is just such a chaotic month. There's so many exams, senior events, different things going on that would really interfere with us posting consistent podcast episodes. So unfortunately, this was our last regular episode, but we are coming back on, you'll hear it on Friday, with kind of a review episode to end off the podcast. We're going to be talking about our favorite, least favorite albums that we reviewed, different artists that we discovered, our favorite songs, different things we did, just kind of recapping on all the things that made the podcast so great. So I'm definitely excited for that one. Really bittersweet. Any closing remarks today?
Yeah, basically everything Catherine said. I just want to reiterate, and then on top of that, I will be compiling a list of our rankings. I don't know. I think we're at 30 plus episodes now. Maybe that's a little high or a little low. I'm not quite sure. But I will be making a list of what our top albums were, and we'll see. We'll be looking at that as well, on top of everything that was already mentioned. And yeah, it's been a good ride. Shame that has to come to an end, but all things end, like Hoja said. So.
It was definitely an amazing experience to start this podcast, but don't worry, we still have one final episode, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.